The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go! Baby, the Blue Jays are in the finals! World Series bound! That reminds me of when I hit the home run to bring the World Series back to Toronto. It's Joe Carter, everybody.
That's Adam's Joe Carter impression.
Well, that's actually, I stole that from Ryan Parker from Q107 here. He did it once on the air, and I was crying in my car on the way to work, and I just never forgot it. And I remember we obviously know each other now, and I brought it up to him, and he doesn't remember doing it.
What?
Yeah, but he did this crazy, and you know, it's so funny. I saw a Joe Carter interview, I think it was on TSN on TikTok, and he was like, well, I'm obviously the last one to bring the World Series back to Toronto with a home run. But he's like talking about Springer's home run. He's like, but if I have to give that record up, I would do it in a heartbeat to see the World Series back in Toronto. Because he hits the second tee in Toronto.
Back to Toronto.
Back to Toronto. Joe Carter is a god around here, and he's so positive and friendly and great. And that's why
he really is.
You almost feel bad sort of teasing him, but that's how he is. He's like,
so when you do that, when you hit a walk-off home run to win a championship,
to bring the World Series back to Toronto
at the highest level of your sport, you must run on that high for the rest of your life. And I think that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
of course.
No, because that's like when you're in the backyard, you're scoring the Stanley Cup winning goal, 2 seconds left, you got a buzzer beater goal to win the Stanley Cup. Everything's incredible. Or it's in overtime, right? Or it's overtime, you win it. It's game 7 overtime. He did it in real life.
Yeah.
He did the impossible thing where you walk off to win a championship.
In a game,
you would never come down for that.
And that was a game, by the way, that everybody expected them to lose. Like at that point, everybody was like, well, we'll try to get them in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You would never come down from that high. That's the best crack cocaine ever.
So he...
and we would know a lot about that, wouldn't we, Jesse?
First of all, damn.
Heroin? Should I have gone heroin?
Second of all, a few
best
years ago...
heroin ever. Home run.
A few years ago, don't remember exactly when.
You used heroin.
And like... don't recommend it. No, Joe Carter spoke at the damn Conn Smythe Gala in support of Easter Seals, and he talked about that. And I think it was something like within a week or 2 weeks, he was back in Kansas, where he's from, and his wife is just like, yeah, all right, Joe, like, can you take the trash out or whatever? So like,
that's so funny.
You would think, yeah, of course, you could just let that be the rest of your life, but no. You're just Joe to me.
I love listening to the top end of athletes speak, because some of them have like such different perspectives on things. Because like Joe Carter's not, you don't talk about him in the all-time greats conversation, that sort of stuff. But he did something that's an all-time great moment in there. So I think he would have a greater appreciation for his own accomplishment, because he wasn't Barry Bonds or anything like that.
He was a good cleanup hitter.
Yeah, and then when you listen to guys like Belichick talk, a guy who won 6 Super Bowls and did everything in life, he would win that, and it wasn't a sense of accomplishment. It was a sense of, okay, I did the thing I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it doesn't, they never appreciate it like someone like Joe Carter would.
There's maybe something to be admired there, but I kind of feel like when you accomplish your goal, you should feel good about it.
Right. He was always like, the next one's my favorite. Tomorrow I'm waking it up when I'm working on next season and trying getting this done again.
Yeah.
No, he's super down to earth. And another story about him, my parents were at this particular Conn Smythe Gala, and they were just sitting with this really nice lady and, you know, having a great conversation. And, oh, what are you guys doing here? Oh, our son's speaking later. And what are you doing? Oh, my husband's speaking later. It was Joe Carter's wife.
Oh, man.
My husband.
The one who told him to take the trash out.
Yeah, the one who told him to take the trash.
Did you see my home run?
Yeah, to bring the World Series back to Toronto. Now I got to bring the trash back to the curb. Poor Joe.
Is that how he talks about everything?
Oh, man.
Yeah,
I'm
probably
going to bring the channel back to the last one. I'm going to hit return on the remote.
You know what? I had too much coffee. I am going to go back to the bathroom and just hang out.
I am going to bring this toilet back to Flushing.
Lease is up. I'm bringing the car back to the dealership. I think what's amazing about this, by the way, I have always wanted to get Joe Carter and Pinball Clemens in a room. and have all Toronto positivity off.
Two guys.
I'm going to give you a really negative topic. You spin it positive, boys.
Two guys who were the keynote speaker at Conn Smythe Gala and had everyone crying.
As they should be.
Yeah.
Because they really like those. And Joe, the thing is about Joe, emotional leader. And, what's amazing about the last couple of days has been, Toronto going, the Toronto Blue Jays, I should say, going to the World Series, and then immediately followed up by the biggest fart game I've ever seen by the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, my God.
And I think we do need to sort of talk about the juxtaposition there. Now, the Leafs could be on just an early season skid. Heck knows the Oilers are, Sens are. There are plenty of teams that are not happy with the way they've started.
It is 7 games.
It's 7 games after all, but so is it. It is also 7 games in April. I look at the way I think that we've wanted the Leafs to be, that we've projected on them, we wanted them to be. And I look at what the Jays are. And yes, they have seen success. But had they lost Game 7, I still think everybody would have walked away and gone, man, that was a really special run.
Great season. You probably lament, Game 5. And
we're probably talking about bringing in Brandon Little.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. But overall, the season was a success.
I look at this and I look at the way that, and by the way, the season started terribly for the Jays. Like they were not projected to do well. The first couple of months, everybody's like, well, who are they trading? That sort of thing. Vladdy wasn't worth the contract, whatever narratives were out there. I think it's amazing how things can change over the course of a couple months, but also what I see with this Jays team, and maybe it's rose-colored glasses because they're in the World Series, or maybe it's results because they're in the World Series.
They're in the damn World Series.
But the team plays for each other. Uh-huh. And one thing that, I remember from a couple of years ago when Sid Seixeiro came on this show, and I know Sid can be, and he would be the first to admit this, polarizing.
Everyone likes him unanimously.
People love him or they don't love him. But the one thing about Sid that I always will respect is that when Toronto sports wins are going one way, he's not afraid to go the other way and go, actually, that's not what I'm seeing. And I'll tell you, and one of the things he said early when we had him on, I think it was in the 23-24 season, it was clear that they were not playing for each other, the Leafs. And I don't think I've ever seen this era of the Leafs this last 10 years. I don't think they've ever played as a team like the Jays play as a team. And I know they're different sports, but I think everybody watching both teams right now knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I know which one's a lot more likable. And honestly,
doesn't that make you likable? Is that it's not just winning that makes you likable.
Think, you're right. Like winning helps.
It does, but winning helps a bunch. The Leafs have won tons. Four seasons in a row over 100 points. There's like 3 other teams that have done that. It's the Avs and the Edmonton Oilers and the Leafs.
Yeah.
That's it.
And which one of them gets to be like, we were close?
Well, there's 2 out of 3 there.
Right.
So I'm looking at this and I'm going, this team is likable. They play for each other. And what it's doing, and this is where Brad and Craig and all these guys and Austin have a lot of work to do, is it's shining a spotlight on what the Leafs have not been able to deliver on. And I don't want to make it about that. But I mean, last night's game, I think, is a perfect example. And Jesse, you were there.
No.
You look at the post-game comments, and I'm going to pull up just your Twitter account. Okay.
Don't get on us for overreacting, man. The Leafs are mad.
Here's Craig Berube. It's obviously not good enough when he's talking about the Matthews line. I don't feel like they have any sustained pressure in the offensive zone. I'm getting tired of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So that specific last part, because I think it was Luke Fox who came with a follow-up, and he's talking about you talked early on in the season about how getting that line going is going to take some time. And Craig Berube stopped the question a little bit short and interjections like, I'm getting tired of that. Like, yeah, I know it's going to take some time for everything to gel, but I'm getting tired of the time it's taking.
You can tell based on his decision.
Next game, it's 10% of the way through the season. Next game.
It's getting late early.
And here's what here's what we go. I want to drop this other one on you.
Did you want to play the audio?
Oh yeah, sure. I'd love to hear his tone on it.
Yeah, so here's him talking about it.
Sustained pressure in the offensive zone at all.
So here's the
season. I thought, they were getting their opportunities. And
here's the comments on the Matthews line.
Matthews line to getting it kind of rolling.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think early on in the season, I thought, they were getting their opportunities and looking pretty good. Now it's like, it's obviously not good enough. I don't feel like they have any sustained pressure in the offensive zone at all. It's one and done or out, or they don't have any sustained pressure in the offensive zone. That's what I see.
I'm sorry. You said at the start of the year that might be a long process of experimentation.
Well, it could be, but I'm getting tired of it, to be honest with you. You know.
So let's
mention the Devils real quick.
So
pause it there.
that I've watched Craig Berube talk in person a lot. Like it's over the last one season and now 7 games that we've had credentials. He said a lot to us, and I think this might have been the most honest he's ever been. I don't think because he says a lot, but he also doesn't show everything he's got, right?
Doesn't show his cards.
Yeah. But he's also very honest in what he says the majority of the time. But here he was honest from an emotional standpoint. It seemed more like, I don't usually share this with you, but here is more insight into how I'm feeling about that line in a more directly honest way. And him just saying, I'm getting tired is a revelation from Berube and a true assessment of this team.
It's concerning to me because I went thermonuclear game 6 and game 7 was arguably worse. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that every game. And the more I thought about it, and just how awful they looked, I was like, okay, well, what was awful? Let's look at the second line. Well, no, I like them. I think Michelli's playing all right. Tavares is playing really well. Willie is one of the league leaders in points, even though, goals are a little harder to come.
Still not shooting enough, but yeah.
No, he's not. He's not. But is it at least adequate? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Who else is punching a little bit above their weight? Benoit's coming around a little bit. OEL is playing fantastic. And then I look at the first line. And what don't I like about it? Well, it's a rotating cast of guys they just do not trust. And straight up do not trust defensively for sure. Michelli is not out there in those situations, and he's gone. Cowan is not out there in those situations, and he's gone. Robertson was briefly out there last night, and he's never out there in those situations, and so he's gone. Domi is never out there in those situations, and somehow that was his first time on that line, and he's gone. Am I forgetting anyone? Oh, Yarncroke.
Willie they brought up.
I kind of wish they would stop.
Oh, yeah?
I kind of wish they would stop because
Tavares and him look good.
I think it's weakening what he's doing.
Huh.
I think it's taking away from a strength to address a weakness, and sometimes it works. Other times it actually it makes you weaker, and I think that's what's happening here. Willie he can't full time play on 2 lines. So to me, you have to choose if you want to try him on the first line full time. I'm open to trying that. This 2 lines thing is nonsense.
Before we get into the weeds more, I do want to mention one other quote from Craig Berube, and that's the defense quote. And it brings me to a theory that I have, and I wanted to get everybody's thoughts on it, not just Steve and Jesse, but I want compliment section. I want you to hit us up, okay? So Jesse, do you want to pull up the audio, or do you want me to just read the quote out?
I can play the audio here.
Okay,
One second. So let me just pull up the time here.
Okay, no problem. And I want to preface this by saying there has been always, and I don't know that every team has this, but I don't know if you watch the Avalanche. Oh. I watched the Avalanche Utah game last night. And listen, I've watched the Avalanche. I don't watch all 82 games of the Avalanche.
I watch a lot of them.
Like Drew does. Yeah, they're just on a lot, and I love watching them. And I love watching them for one guy.
Who's that?
Nathan McKinnon.
Oh.
Who is, outside of Toronto, my favorite hockey player in the world. Because he's psychotic. And I have never, and I asked Drew this, I'm like, listen, you've been an Avs fan forever, since you were a little boy. Have you ever seen him take a night off? And he's like, no, he's psycho.
You need them.
And I have never not seen these Leafs take nights off. And
he threw a helmet at a guy.
Yeah,
he's not well adjusted. What are you talking about?
And I want to play this defense clip, and then I want to get into a wider discussion here. So bear with me. Go ahead and play what Berube thinks of his own defense.
Yeah.
Do you have a theory as to why so many on the interruptions were given up there?
Well, there's reads for sure. Our D are just standing in there, jumping in there, not reading what's coming at them. we're late sometimes, with our reloads, and one of the biggest things is turnovers. But we got to be smarter. Our D got to be smarter. They got to read the play. They can't be going all out. And then, that's a quick team. They're a great transition team. We talked about, they're a good rush team. They're going to, they blow out of the zone. And first period was fine. Second period, we didn't follow it, and we shot ourselves in the foot.
Okay, so we'll stop there. Now, it was clear at the beginning of the season, or it was clear June 30th, that when Mitch Marner was traded, that this team, unless they were able to go out and get a Brad Marchand, and even if they had, they were not going to be as skillfully good. Okay. And what I've seen in Toronto over the last 10 years, and we've talked about this many, many times on the show, so there's no revisionist history here, is a team that puts in bullshit efforts, but turns it on in the last 5 minutes, and then you see their true potential, and then they score a bunch of goals, tie up the game, win it in overtime. Everybody's like, well, man, if they could just do that for 60 minutes. And what I'm seeing now is a team that still wants to do that, take the whole night off until the last 5 minutes, but they can't score the goals now. They can't score at will now. And so what I'm seeing, and just let me finish this part, and I want you guys to go off. My theory is this team has not learned how to put in 60 minutes night after night. Yep. And I think that's clear. I think we know that.
Yeah.
But I don't think they realize they're not as talented anymore. And that when you are not as talented, you need to grind it out. And I bring it back to the Blue Jays, because if you looked at the Blue Jays on paper, like, man, Nathan Lucas, Andreas Jimenez, IKF against, the crazy amount of hitters that the Yankees had, the unbelievably intelligent hitters that the Mariners had. But what the Jays did was they just ground and ground and ground. I don't see that from the Leafs. And by the way, I've never seen that from this era of the Leafs. Never have I felt after a season, man, that's a team that'll grind you every game. And so this is an adjustment where they're going to figure out, and that is the big boys, Matthews, Nylander specifically, every game you're giving 100%, because if you don't, you will lose.
The first period watching Willie, I was almost getting more mad because of how good he looked.
He looks amazing.
I was like, if the expectation, especially at the $11.5 million price tag, I don't give a shit how many points he has. I really don't. The expectation should be that's the effort you get every single game. Every single game, he looks like that. And if he looks like that and Matthews looks like the best version of him, you're getting the saves that you're getting this season, you have a chance to win every single night. Willie's effort last night I thought was fine. That was, and I want to get your opinions here, because I like to think I know the Leafs pretty well and I remember them pretty well. That's as bad a hockey game as I've seen Austin Matthews play. It might have been one of his worst games as a Leaf.
He doesn't shoot anymore.
He doesn't do anything anymore. Like, the emphasis is on the first line, and people are going to bring up Marner because they're lazy. I think Matthew Nyes looks fine.
Yeah, I do too.
I like his hands. I like his effort. You see it every night. Teams have to put 2-3 guys on him just to get the puck off him in the neutral zone. Like, it's awesome. I love watching him play. People like I got last night when I asked for questions and just texting people, you used to be afraid when Matthews got the puck. Or you got excited when Matthews got the puck. Leaf fans got excited because every single time he got it, it had a chance to go in.
He had that slingshot, snap, pull shot. You know what I mean? Pull it back and the goalie would just not even know where it was going. And it was so accurate and so quick.
He is a random man out there. That is a random man skating around. That is Ryan O'Reilly with less grit and better hands. How? He's never been that. Ever. And even last year, I defended the hell out of him last year because he wasn't scoring nearly as much. But I was like, guys, he's hitting everyone. He's blocking lots of shots. He's playing incredible defense. And if you look at it, even though his goals are down, he's scoring at a 94-point pace. This is still an elite player. Early in the Panthers series, he was crushing Barkov. He was crushing him. And then they made the switch and that was it. he's a random man out there. And yeah, he lost his, number one setup man. He scored long before that guy got there. He scored in games without him. He looked dangerous in games without him. He doesn't look dangerous anymore. That's a random guy. That's some human.
Jesse?
Yeah, I think if you watch that game, you isolate on Matthews, and then you listen to Craig Berube's assessment of that top line and them not getting sustained pressure in the offensive zone. I think it's a lot on just how Austin's playing right now. And it's not hockey that's going to be a winning style of hockey at the NHL level, because he keeps trying to go through guys. He keeps trying to do the kind of just minor league thing of where you're out on the ice with your friends, you're going through him, trying to dangle around, and he's not playing any sort of hockey that looks like an NHL style of the game, right? It's I don't want to call it lazy, but he's trying to just, I don't know, play an all-star format of hockey. I don't know what's happened in his mentality.
It's lazy in the brain.
Yeah.
It's not lazy physically, it's lazy in the brain. The first player who comes to mind that reminds me of is Nazem Kadri when he was with the Marlies, like in the AHL, because you would see him 1 out of 5 times pull off a crazy windmill deke. And you're like, why isn't this guy in the NHL? And then you'd see him try it 4, 5, 6 other times and fail, and the puck goes the other way. And you're like, oh, that's why. Because he hasn't learned. And now we got Matthews like a decade into his career, scoring at a higher career rate than Alexander Ovechkin, and he's turned into a pumpkin. And your third line having a better performance, your fourth line grinding it out, your D making better reads, getting saves every night, that is not going to fix the fact that your number one center, who is supposed to be one of the biggest stars in the league, looks below mediocre.
Last night, like specifically, it felt like a night where he thought he could try different stuff. I don't know if you guys just caught it, but he kept trying to do little fancy plays. He kept trying to get really cute with everything on the ice. He did the between the legs fake move. There was one time he tried to flip the puck over the defenseman who was coming at him, and every time the puck was on his stick, it didn't last very long because he was treating the players in front of him like they were the pylons on the ice, where it's, I'm going to try this little move and see if I can get around, go shoot on the backup goalie who's there in practice. And it didn't feel like he was trying to play last night to win as a team and win that game.
You're not at a skill skate, Austin.
Yeah,
you're in the middle of an NHL game.
A night off where he came in and was like, I'm just going to try different stuff. And I was like, you can't be doing this coming off of that loss on Seattle. You can't be doing this at the NHL level here where there's a microscope on you every single night because you're Austin Matthews. It was an ugly game from him.
Oh boy. Like there's just, you could have hated everything about that game. And I think it was worse than the game against Seattle. Stolarz, like let's go back so we can talk about the context of it. Stolarz gets crushed twice and gives some quotes after the game, and it's a very obvious cry for help. The other goalie has an easy time. I do not. They're outworking us. Well, who's us? It's not you. You're not digging in the corners. You're not doing the breakouts. You're not, you're calling out your teammates. They put forth a softer effort. They didn't hit a thing. They didn't try to fight anybody. Even the after the whistle stuff, nothing. Benoit fought with 30 seconds to go in the game? Gives a damn.
Got tuned up too.
Whatever.
At least he fought.
Give it a friggin' shot. You might tune up the next guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Show you it's not about winning the fight. It's about showing you give a shit. Mm-hmm. It's about showing you care. And so they weren't doing any of those things that we expected them to do after that performance Saturday. And I'm like, okay, well, they've just chosen to play hockey then. And it was awful. Their hockey was awful. Of all the things I expected the post-Marner Leafs to be, never would I have thought that the answer was soft. They don't care about the games they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't convince me that they're giving it their all and that they care about each other. Like,
No.
the Florida Panthers, all those guys seem attached at the hip, and they talked about going out to dinner and everything. These guys don't even look like they like each other.
Yeah.
I want to add something to my initial point, which is this team is not good enough to take nights off anymore. That might ultimately be good for them.
Well, how
in the
about
long
practice
term.
off today, Adam?
Well, they did take practice off today. They turned into an optional skate today, which is kind of unbelievable.
Who
But,
took the option?
I think it's like Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Caden Primo and some of the other guys.
Oh
on
my
the ice.
God.
But none of the stars were.
What a deeply unlikable team.
Hey, BetMGM is an official sports betting partner of the National Hockey League and has everything for action on the ice. If you bet on your team having a good October and you're from Toronto or you're from Edmonton or you're from Dallas or you're from Ottawa,
Oops.
but at least one team, at least specifically for Canadians, because Calgary's having a bad start. Montreal, I think.
They've been good.
Montreal's been good. Winnipeg's been good. Vancouver's been good. But we all can get behind the Toronto Blue Jays.
Absolutely.
That is a good October.
Unless you're one of those difficult Canadian Mariners fans.
Yeah.
Boo to you.
All right. Well, listen, sometimes people take the third chair at the hotel. And, now, Jesse.
Wait.
I want to know what, because you mentioned this before, the odds were not great for the Jays or the Mariners to take on the Dodgers. Whoever was going to take them on, have they improved at all after Game 7?
Yes.
They have.
The Blue Jays right now are almost 3-1 to win the World Series. The Dodgers odds, though, have not gotten any worse. They are still 1.5 times your money.
So if you, like 2 days ago, if you'd bet the Blue Jays, you'd have got it 6-1.
Yeah, that was about 6-1, I think, when we checked last time.
Okay.
So now it's about half that, which is intense. Wow. One thing I think a little disrespectful here, sports books and BetMGM, Blue Jays underdogs in game number 1.
Wow.
How dare they?
Yeah, the Dodgers are the favorites going into game 1.
Why would they take $500 million payroll and go, that's got to be the team that
But
wins?
usually at home, the thing you do in sports is the home team, game 1 of the playoffs, they're the favorites, right? But here, Jays big underdogs in first game. So might be, if you think the Jays can do it, there's a good opportunity there to take them.
Jason 7.
What has blown me away is the amount of American fans are like, no, screw the Dodgers. Go that place from Canada.
Everybody's rooting for the Jays.
They are correct.
The BetMGM app has improved its lineup this season to include instant withdrawals, data insights, and brand new rewards hubs. Download the BetMGM app today and enjoy the NHL like never before. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 18 plus to wager. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you have any questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you, please contact Connects Ontario 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with iGaming Ontario. And so I think the other part that we have here is the second part that Craig Berube mentioned, right? I based this whole segment on those two quotes.
Yeah.
And the reason that some of the scoring has gone away is because through the neutral zone, there is no resistance.
Yeah.
And I talked to Ryan Hanna from Winged Wheel, which if you're a Detroit Red Wings fan is a must listen. Okay.
Oh.
And I asked him about, because I put this in the group chat and everybody fucking ignored me, which is fine because I have some crazy theories.
I was working. So was Jesse.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
And
what was it? What stupid thing do you have to say?
And I tweeted it too, because I was like, I need validation for this.
Oh my goodness, Adam. You should talk to somebody about this.
No. Nope. I'm gonna white knuckle it, Jesse. I'm fine with who I am. No, the point I'm trying to make is that I think the loss of Leighton Lambert is actually bigger than we already know.
Oh, I saw that. I was waiting for you to bring it up on the show.
And I think, so here, if you look at the way the Leafs defense played last year, they were not happy with the lack of offense from the Leafs defense. Yeah. They don't have the fucking horses for that.
No.
But anyway, beyond all that, they went from Lane Lambert, who was a defensive specialist coach, got the Islanders to the conference finals playing only defense and never scoring goals. I don't know how they did it. They scored 0 goals on the way to the conference finals and they still made it.
It was
all ties.
Those series were
terrible
slogs.
And he goes, and obviously Lane is now the head coach in Seattle.
Uh-huh.
They bring in Derek Lalonde, who from all accounts is the best human being possible. And I need to preface this segment with that.
It's never a good thing when you start with that. But he's a great guy.
I'm gonna have to torch this guy.
You know that somebody's about to get just lambasted when Adam's like,
this is not personal.
You know, he's a good human.
This is not personal. This is stylistic. Derek Lalonde's Detroit Red Wings were so fucking bad
Yeah.
through the neutral zone.
Well,
and hold on, you got to give me some space.
Okay. Go for a run in the field, Adam.
They were so fucking bad in the neutral zone. The only thing that made it worse was how they played in their own zone. And the only guy that I could see that did well in that system because he was otherworldly and young was Moritz Seider. And that was years ago. I don't understand why. So what I think the Leafs want to do this year is they were like, well, we played good, strong defense last year. It was the strength of the team. If the goalies are healthy and they're involved, then we're in good shape. We can play low event hockey. So the problem with that is that the guy that built that is gone. And you've asked the new guy to go, yeah, do all that, but also get more involved. And what you heard Craig Berube say in that was they're not reading what's coming in front of them. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they're being told to be more offensive. And what happens when you get away from the thing that worked, even though it was imperfect, is that you cannot, he talked about reloads, you can't reload and get the puck to Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and the like, if you can't fucking get the puck in the first place. And no disrespect to Derek Lalonde personally, and I've heard he's a great hockey mind. He was a great junior coach, great AHL coach, that sort of thing.
We get it. Yeah.
At what point are we just going to say, and I felt like this when they hired him, this guy, these systems do not translate. Did the Leafs management watch Detroit ever?
So
they're in the same division. They're 5 hours drive away. Yeah. I'm just like,
is that how long it is?
Yeah, it's about 5 hours to Windsor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I have zero patience for making a hire like this and then watching them play the exact same style Detroit did. Detroit's defense was awful. They didn't have the horses.
No.
But my God, I'm seeing Detroit in Toronto. It's terrible.
So I have 2 points there. Number one, I think it's 100% possible you're just straight up right. But
rare though.
Adam, you're a great guy.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm joking.
He's gonna rip you out.
Big shit now.
No. You might be
a great
doing
guy.
the same thing. No, you're definitely a great guy. You might be doing a similar thing to what you did last year with Lane Lambert. Because you didn't like that hire.
Yeah, but that was before the season started. And then you came on and said, here's why you should like it.
Right.
And I was like, yo, you know what? He's right. And I was right about that. You were right about that.
You did what a lot of people did, which was you took Lane Lambert's head coaching resume and you applied it to his assistant coaching job. History says Lane Lambert, wherever he goes as an assistant coach, is 10 bell. He's awesome. He was with the Preds, I think, when they went to the final. I can't remember, but they were a very good defensive team, very good PK team. Mm-hmm. He was definitely with the Islanders when they were incredible, and there was one other team, and I don't remember who it was.
I know where you're going with
off the top of my head. He did very good. Derek Lalonde actually has way less assistant coaching experience than Lane Lambert, but it was prolific. He was assistant.
When?
I want to say 2018 to 2022.
With who?
Tampa. Now,
Victor
Hedman is now walking through the door. Mikhail Sergachev's now walking through the door.
Prime Ryan McDonough's
now walking
Eric
through the door.
Cernak, when he was like, Jan Ruda played 76 games for that 2022 team. I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
They had Bogosian. That is a different team. 2020 and 2021. I'm just looking at their defense, okay? David Savard played 14 games for them.
Jesus, I forgot.
Luke Shen, Jan Ruda, Ryan McDonough, Eric Cernak, Mikhail Sergachev, Victor Hedman. That is not the Leafs defense.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're just going from what we saw there, it was President's Trophy Cup final. Right? So it was really good. And then his Detroit experience, I take with a grain of salt because to me, it's less applicable than his Tampa experience.
Because the roster construction was so bad?
Well, the roster construction, those Detroit teams were terrible. But I also think, like, that's just not his job. He's not the head coach here. He's what he was in Tampa. Now, that you have to take with a grain of salt because the roster was too good. And also, the other thing was last year, everyone was all over Mark Savard. And I'm seeing it again this year.
It took till November for the power play to click. It did.
It looked
November,
awful.
December, and then you guys, and I was still on him in January, and you guys were like, actually, it's pretty good now.
It looked real bad,
Yep.
and then it was good. And like, there's no equity in that bank. No one's like, yeah, they ended with an elite power play, and now here they are. They have 2 or 3 goals, and everyone's like, yeah, they suck again.
Yeah.
I'm tired of putting it on the coaches because it's this. Stoller said it, and this might have been the most damning thing that he said. Some of these guys have been here for years, and they're not working. They're not outworking their opponent.
That it does come down to that. You're right.
It's bad. Like,
Yeah.
It's different systems, and everyone's getting used to these different things. Yes. Everyone is, man. There's new faces on the Devils, on the Kraken, on everybody. It's the beginning of the season. So what a lot of it comes down to is like skills and fundamentals and work ethic. And the Leafs
have never had to work that hard in
don't-
the regular season. When they were that good, and this goes back to my initial point, they had so much skill up front. They could take 55 minutes off, show up for the last 5, win the game, you're out.
And this was something we said about them last year as well, though, is those comebacks aren't happening the way they used to. And they still found a way to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in part because they worked. They worked. Like, one thing we saw in previous years is the playoffs come around and they just don't have another gear. Like, they just don't. Last year, I don't really know if you can say that. Or maybe they improved and it just wasn't enough. But they're a lazy, heartless team. And maybe that's a lazy, easy narrative. But like, their
Effort, it ultimately comes down to the players want to play tonight.
they're miserable. There are people watching these games as their first hockey games. And I promise you, they won't grow up to be hockey fans. That's how bad it is. Think about it. There's a generation of kids right now who are coming into sports fandom who have the Jays, whatever the Raptors turn out to be, and the Leafs. Ugh. What? The choice is obvious. The choice is so, and this happens, right? Like, one of the scariest things about last night and trying to evaluate them is I was like, I know what team they remind me of, and I'm afraid to say it. And then in the LFR questions, people are like, are you getting 2019-20 vibes? And I went, oh shit.
Why? Why did they remind you of that team?
Because that team was nothing. They had no identity. I don't know what they were. They looked like they should be a fast team. They looked like they should be a skilled team. That
was when they fired Babcock, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
That was the Tyson
Babcock
Barrie year. And
Yeah. So the Babcock Leafs were nothing. They were just miserable, soulless hockey. Everyone looked like they hated their lives. And Keefe comes on board. I think they go 12-4. And they're playing the way they were sold. And then everyone remembers, or you might not because of COVID, but sometime around mid-January, February, they just started playing like the beginning of the season again.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And you remember that team was an 8th place team.
Yes.
Yeah. They weren't even like, oh, they got in the playoffs and they're like dominating. They barely, just because COVID happened and that was the cutoff, like they got in the playoffs for that reason. They might have missed the playoffs that year.
They were bad. That was the Ayers game.
The Leafs hated Mike Babcock. Their players hated. And I know that from people who were there. They significant players in the roster called Babcock a loser, which he acted like one, but the ball's on you, who has won absolutely fuck all, to call a guy who has won a lot more than that.
Gold medal, Stanley Cup.
Yeah. They called him a loser. They didn't want to play for him. Not Tyson Barrie. Travis Dermott was asked before their first game. This was either the one in Arizona or Colorado. What can we expect out of Sheldon Keefe? Because he had him with the Marlies. And he goes, boys want to play for him.
There you go.
And I think part of the reason they went 12-4 or whatever the number was when they got Sheldon Keefe is they tried their bag off for this new coach.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually they got lazy, and eventually this, and and they were downright mediocre again. And I think the best part of their season was the one where they tried, and then they just, I know it's the NHL. I know you're trying. Everyone's trying. You're not the hardest working team on the ice. Your opponent's trying too. Now what? You're fucked.
Has anybody ever accused this era of the Leafs of being the hardest working team on the ice?
They're a lazy, soulless, heartless, boring, soul-sucking, awful, awful, awful team to watch. Last year's Berube hockey is not beautiful, but there is a beauty to it. Like, when it's done right, it can win you games. When it's done right, it can win you a championship. And we know this. They don't play Berube. They don't play anything.
Yeah, the quotes there, like, this is, I feel like those two things, like you said, Adam, there are the assessment of the team. It's that first line assessment, and then his quotes on the D there, because they're clearly not doing what he's asking of them. like, that's where he sounds dejected, because he's not instructing them to be terrible in neutral zone, to leave pucks in the corner and not get them after the Devils have a shot on goal and they don't go and get the rebounds, and then they're pinned in forever and then everybody's tired. He's clearly asking them to play a specific way. And I don't know whether it's they can't, or if they're lazy and they just don't feel like it.
Well, I hope they're lazy.
Yeah.
Because the other option's worse.
The better thing is that they just don't feel like it right now. It's early. They think they're going to make the playoffs. They can turn it on whenever. That's the hope. You really don't want the actual assessment of this team to be that they don't have it in them. They don't have the skill to play this type of hockey.
To your point, though, Jesse, I'd like to find out. So if they could approach a game like they want to win it anytime, I would love to know if they don't have the talent. But it's impossible to evaluate, because we know, and Craig said, and Anthony said, and Steve said on Saturday night in a very eloquent, well-spoken,
it was a little
manner,
much,
that they're not trying.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know how you know a team's not trying? It's in the details, man. It's the details. It's little things here and there. It's body positioning. It's decision making. It's, are we focused, or are we icing the puck with four guys around us with a minute to go in the game? You know, and I'm talking about leaders on this team. And this is where, as a fan, it gets so frustrating. It gets so frustrating because I have waited all day. I've waited several days for this game to start. I've put my kid to bed. I've done all my chores so I can sit on the couch with my wife, because my wife watches every game with me, and I get to watch this team that I grew up loving and my heroes played for. Yeah. And I still, as a 37-year-old man, love watching this hockey team.
Because this game should have been special based on the last game.
100%.
I know it's game 7.
They come in wearing Jays gear. They are coming off Toronto is coming off a World Series clinching game. And what we see is something that we have seen year after year after year, but they could get away with it because they had the talent. They could get away with it because they had the talent, boys. That's where I'm frustrated. And so, Jesse, to your point, are they good enough, or are they just lazy? All I can evaluate right now is that they're lazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're good enough. I'd like to know.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the part where you go, that's frustrating. Now, I do think it's worth mentioning. I want to know what you guys think of this. And Jesse, I want to start with you.
Sure.
Craig Berube said just now at optional practice that he is considering putting Nylander on Matthews' line.
I think it's a decent solution at the time. It's when the game is it actually matters and they need a goal. That's the line he puts together.
So it's Matthews, Nylander.
Easton Cowan goes down to the fourth line in the previous games when he was out there, or Domi goes down to the third line, or wherever he wants to shift people around. So I've always wondered if that's the line you put out there when you need goals and when the game's like, oh, we need to get something going here. Why not just start with that? Why not just start with the thing that's the most optimal a piece of your team that's going to score goals, and that's Matthews together and Nylander together with Nyes there on the wing. I think it's worth a shot.
McMahon's flying. I love the game he's playing. So could it be then Nyes, Matthews, Nylander, And if that doesn't work, I don't know, maybe blow it up. Michelli, Tavares, McMahon, question mark? Or is it Domi? Domi's ugh.
I want to read you because Neeler, who's a streamer on and he's on Twitter, he said, like, and he's a big Leafs fan. He said, Leafs fans are freaking out because the team is having the same mediocre October they have every year is so funny. Any rational fan knew there was going to be an adjustment period. Talk to me in March about the standings.
I'm so tired of that. I hate that.
That's a tough take because in March they're only several weeks away from getting eliminated.
Stop making content then.
But
what
here's
are you tweeting about? It doesn't matter.
But he does have a point. Let me just make it for him here. October 2019, 6-5-3. October 2021, 4-4-1. October 2022, 4-4-2. October 2023, 5-3-1. Last year, 6-4-1, and they're 3-3-1 this year. And I just want to say this, though I disagree, yes, I see that. It's not how the record is. It's how they're playing on the ice. That's the part that scares me.
How many times in the show have we brought up their record?
Never. I don't think we've talked about it. It doesn't matter.
I don't give a shit what the record is. We're not talking about the record. We're talking about the way they're playing, which is like shit. They could have been 5-0 heading into Saturday, and Saturday's performance still would have been unacceptable. And then the follow-up was even worse. But they weren't 5-0. They're whatever they are.
So here's the question, because I said this sort of last spring, wasn't sure what you guys thought about it then, last spring, last summer, whatever it was. I kind of view this year as a step back year. I've said that. Where
that's a loser mentality.
I know it is. But
I hate
retooling years are standard in the NHL. That does happen with good teams. I still expect them to make the playoffs, but they literally fired all their assets into the sun last spring, and they should have.
Yeah, you don't have a first till 2028.
They got nothing to buy.
Maybe give it a shot, eh? Maybe try a little bit. All right.
If this is a retooling year, you're not allowed to get mad at losses.
I think you can.
Because that's what
if
you
they're
expect.
lazy losses, I can get mad at
That's
them.
what you expect.
What does fan mean?
I don't expect
Can
lazy.
anyone Google this?
I don't expect lazy, Jess. I think a retooling team can still put in a really good effort and make the playoffs and still retool. That can happen.
Yeah, but it's saying it's a retooling year. Your expectation is they're not gonna.
I had them winning the division.
Cup.
And I still think it's a retooling
Then
year.
it's not a retooling year.
Yeah, it is. They don't stand a chance. Devils will whoop their ass in the playoffs. So would Carolina.
A team that's your definition of retooling is different than mine because a retooling team doesn't win a division.
No, they're changed.
That's 100.
Well,
that's
their division's
that's
changed right now.
108 points.
One of the things
that to me that's not retooling. So we have different definitions of retooling. Then
one of the things I saw last night it's fantasy, it's fiction, is Leafs fans are getting the team that they asked for. What are you actually on about? Leaf fans who didn't like what Marner brought to the table wanted them to play soft and baby shit and
lazy ass hockey
and be the second hardest working team on the ice every night. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Like we're just not living in the same reality, and it's 2025. None of us are. But that is a fabrication. That is made up. That is fantasy. That is bullshit. It is completely wrong and should be dismissed and ignored every time it's brought up. One thing I never expected this team to be was as soft as they are. And they're hateable. Like they're loathsome. Like I'm looking at all these Blue Jays bobbleheads, and I'm excited for the Raptors season to start. I like them. I like watching the Raptors. Like even when they're not all that good, they're fun. They play joyless. I can't imagine paying to watch them right now. Like we're talking about the World Series and the prices people are paying for that. The Jays are worth the money. Like maybe not worth that money. I don't know. We're not all in that tax bracket, but can you imagine saving up to go to last night's game?
I feel like we've circled that a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Like okay, the Leafs have prioritized. There's two things I want to say. The Leafs have prioritized being more accessible and likable. no amount of interviews and school appearances and handing out stickers and whatever is going to make up for the fact that you look like shit on the ice.
Yeah. Okay. And the second part of that.
The second part is I do want to give the Devils their due.
Oh, they were amazing.
When they hired Sheldon Keefe, a lot of people were down on Keefe, and I'm like, I think you got the wrong measure of it. He's a great fit there.
They're so fast.
They're so damn fast. There's still parts of that roster I don't love, but they're fast. They're skilled as hell. He never had a decor that good in Toronto. Holy shit. Never. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them win the division and the President's Trophy.
Jake Allen's a good goaltender. Like,
Jake Allen's a good goalie. Yeah.
That Morgan Riley shot at the end of the game, people were like, oh, great Jake Allen save. I'm like, did you see the shot? So Morgan, the Muffin Man Riley. That shot was
Adam
like a UFO that had
hates
taken
him.
a shot. I don't hate Morgan Riley, but he had an open opportunity.
Is he a good
and
guy?
my kingdom for a hard shot from Morgan Riley.
It's not going to happen.
Good guy or
He's
bad guy?
31.
Great guy.
Like
He's 31.
You don't
Yeah.
develop a hard shot at that age of your career. Like that's not what you're asking for out of Morgan Riley.
But
it's over.
all that to say, the Devils are. I would gladly pay to go to a Devils game
Yep.
and watch the Devils.
So-
they're good money. The
Yeah.
Leafs are awful money right now. I would never pay to go watch them.
Looks like Lawton will be back on the ice tomorrow.
Oh, that's a lot sooner.
Does
than I
that
thought.
make them a Stanley Cup contender? A
immediately?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay. So let's say Berube, and this is what I'm curious about. This is where I want to move the conversation because they're going to have to get out of this rut and they're going to have to learn, hey, I got to play every game to win every game. Or at least have a shot.
You got back-to-back against the Sabres.
Yeah, who are motivated. Now you've got, you potentially have Nyes, Matthews, Nylander. So who plays next to Tavares? That's my question. What do the lines look like there? What would you do?
I think I would try McMahon. Listen, like I'm trying to go, okay, who plays like Nylander? And immediately I know I'm wrong. I'm not looking at it the right
Like
way.
Michelli, Tavares, McMahon?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've liked McMahon on the right. I like the snarl he's playing with. Like, again, it's like the Leafs as a whole. You're not replacing Nylander. So you just have to play differently. I like the way McMahon has fought for pucks. I'd maybe try McMahon.
Jesse, what would you do with the Tavares line?
I think there's two options there. One is you kind of leave that third line alone. You go Joshua Waugh and McMahon, and then you move up Yarncroke. So you unscratch him and you give him his, like, here's your reward for scoring 3 goals already.
Yeah.
You know, go play with JT on the second line. You probably leave Michelli there. Domi then becomes a question mark. It's like, where does Domi fit on this roster if it's
random guy.
if it's not anywhere in the top 9? You know, so it's fourth line Domi. That doesn't feel right. Plus Lawton's back. Plus you don't want to scratch Lorentz. Plus Robertson can at least add scoring to the fourth line.
He's good.
Yeah.
And like, how do you get Cowan in there? Is Cowan the answer on the second?
Right. Well, maybe Cowan, I think at this point, maybe just send him down. But
You have to make a decision.
so because I don't feel like Yarncroke deserves to be scratched right
No, I don't think
He
so
looks
either.
so good, and I feel like he's useful in this lineup like some of the other guys aren't. Like you can throw him around places. So I don't know. I'm thinking Michelli, Tavares, Yarncroke, and Domi's somewhere on that fourth line, I guess. And
I think he's got to find a spot, Jess.
and like yeah, like
I think
who
he's
are you
gotta find a
scratching?
spot quick.
Lorentz, like
No.
Lorentz tries.
Good Lord.
Lorentz
Like,
tries.
he's one of the few guys on the roster every single night. You know, you're getting Steven Lorentz.
Mm-hmm.
Him, Benny doesn't take a night off. You know, there's
Benny didn't look good.
I think.
I don't
Yeah, but he
Don't
looked
you think
like
he's still hurt.
he looked like he
Maybe
gave a
little.
shit.
He did. He's trying. But
That's my bar right now.
I don't. None of the 5 guys who are out there after Tanev goes down, and like we haven't even talked about that. Tanev might be out for a little bit here, and that's a big piece of their lineup. None of the 5 guys that they had on the ice last night could protect the front of the net. Like 2 guys kind of go to the front, and then if one of the Devils players wants to get in there and just just dilly dally around the portion of the net where they are, they just don't bother with him. You know, they can just kind of push him around, or they can get in front, and it's ugly defensive hockey. So, like Benoit, he's trying, But these guys, they all need to have that skill there. And the forward group, there's a lot of question marks with those guys and their efforts.
Carlo looked so rattled last night.
Yeah, he looks scared.
Which is insane. And I cannot believe he was a Bruin. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wrap my head around cutting your teeth in the NHL on that team and in that culture and becoming this player.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that.
The line things, like, I feel like in 24 hours we're gonna have an answer on it. So I don't know if there's too much guessing to be done, but tomorrow they'll come out with the lines and we'll see what we have.
The good thing I will say, gents, is that it's looking like Tanev is feeling a bit better today. So he may not miss significant time, which is good. But I expect him probably not to play in Buffalo. Let me ask you one more name.
I thought it looked like a concussion.
It did look like
yeah.
But it was like sort of a nothing play, right? Like weird.
It looks like they bumped heads, but when you bump heads like that at that speed and these powerful men, it's going to hurt and rattle.
You're not ready for it.
And he went down, he turtled. I'm like,
that's not
looks
a
like a
Tanev.
concussion,
Might I offer you a freshly baked Sammy Blais?
There's a huge sign to this team.
Why not try?
Honestly, Adam, like, why not?
I'm not saying with Tavares, but like, can he get a forecheck cycle going like, prime St. Louis in 2019?
Yeah. Why are you paying him money?
So
not to play hockey?
So they have a back-to-back coming up. So I expect guys to get in, but based on how bad the last two games were, there's no justification whatsoever to not get Blais into at least one of the next two games. And I'll throw Cowan's name in there too.
Yeah.
You have extra guys for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And people always go, oh, well, back-to-back, it's tough. Okay, so use the extra 3 guys you have.
Yep. They have cap.
Or get rid of them so that you can get cap space and make a move. Well, no. Why? Well, then why do you have three extra men? Myers hasn't played. Myers hasn't played a game. Blais has 2 of their extras haven't played a game yet. We're 7 games in.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the vast majority of the things they're doing this year. It's not great.
Well, we wanted different, and we're getting different. And I think this is at least this year. I just tell you from the content perspective, they're facing some adversity, and I think ultimately, if they're able to find a way to galvanize themselves, this could be good. The theory that I have is that they needed to learn to play 60 minutes all the time, and this is gonna force them to do it, or not.
The winning strategy for the Sabres Friday and Saturday: don't poke the bear.
Yeah,
just go out there and play hockey. If you don't engage them, they're not engaging you. If you engage them and wake them up, you might save their season. If you just get out there and play pond hockey, you'll just leave the Leafs right where you found them. Now, they got to find a way to get involved.
Hey, today's episode is brought to you by Fabletics. Which amongst us is wearing the nicest top? That'd be Jesse Blake wearing his Fabletics sweater.
Yeah, if anybody's listening right now, I'm wearing a green hoodie. It's from Fabletics, and it's so soft.
Can you stand up and model for it?
It is.
Can you
do a little twirl?
Can you confirm? Oh, there's the Fabletics logo on this thing.
Oh, very.
It looks Fabletic, Jesse Blake.
Yeah. It's very nice. It's so soft. And it's soft in a way I'm like, oh, this would cost a lot. And then you find out it didn't cost that much at all.
Well, that's because if you're a Fabletics VIP, which Jesse, Steve, and I are, it makes things simple. 80% off everything after that membership. So you look at this. You can get full outfits for like $100, which is impossible, literally impossible. And as Jesse mentioned, obviously it's high and active wear. You pay a lot of money for it. But once you get that VIP, you get the discounted prices, which is crazy, but it's soft, breathable, which for sweaty guys like myself and Steve a little bit, you run hot.
A little bit.
It's kind of an important thing. And also, it's eco-friendly. Half of their fabrics are made from recycled materials, and the company has been carbon neutral since 2021, which we think is pretty great. We like that. So, Jesse, would you recommend your Fabletics sweater, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Now treat yourself to gear that looks good, feels good, and doesn't break the bank with Fabletics. Go to fabletics.com/STP and sign up as a VIP to get 80% off everything. That is fabletics.com/STP to sign up as a VIP and get 80% off everything. And if you can't remember the name, just remember the way Steve pronounces it, which was Fabletics. Fabletics.com/SDP. It's worth mentioning Andi Petrillo will be joining us later on in the show. So we'll get to that. I do want to say too that after last night's game, which was a win, the Islanders changed their goalie coach. So we have our first coaching firing of the year. Sergei Naumov, who was at AHL Bridgeport and has a history with Ilya Sorokin, replaces Piero Greco. I wonder where he's from.
Piero Greco, I want to say, used to be the Marlies goalie coach.
I think he was. Yeah, and I think Lou took him with him, didn't he?
Yeah. I wonder if Dubas goes yoink. Like, I don't.
Good question.
Piero Greco has a good resume. Like,
yeah.
I would be surprised to see him out of work for too long.
Oh, I don't think he will be. The other one I wanted to ask you guys.
But like firing a guy in October, like you're really screwing him.
Well,
he was the Marlies goalie coach from 2014 through 2018.
You're not screwing him though. He's under contract. This is where I don't like this when people say that.
Yeah,
they're under contract, they'll be fine.
But coaches need to coach.
Yeah, but they're getting paid. They're not out on the street, but like, sorry, we're kicking you out of your own apartment too. Like, they're getting paid. It's a contract. Contracts are guaranteed. That they said the same shit when the Leafs fired their assistant general managers in August back in like 2013.
Poulin.
And I was like, guys, these guys are under contract. They're fine, and it worked out well for them. But I'm looking at some teams that are struggling right now. Okay, Tampa Bay Lightning. They just go Atlantic here. 1-3-2. They're 8th.
Wow.
Sabres 2-4-0. They're 7th. We kind of expected that. Senators, man. Senators hockey looks rough right now.
Yep.
The Leafs are still ahead of Boston, Ottawa, Buffalo, and Tampa in their division.
They're ahead of Boston.
In the Metro, Rangers are 3-4-1. Didn't score on home ice until the 4th game of the year.
Crazy.
Columbus, that's fourth home game.
Can we talk about that for a second? They didn't set the record.
I know.
We said we'd come back and then you didn't bring it up on Monday.
I'm sorry.
How close were they?
They scored within the first minute.
Well, the game
No
was on
way!
Monday. I couldn't bring it up on Monday.
Came in there and they scored, and it was awesome.
Didn't they have to score like in the first 17?
It was I think it was 7:21 or whatever.
Wow!
And then they scored in the first minute. So
my fantasy team was so grateful.
they clearly knew that was on the line from all
100%.
the noise, I'm sure, in New York and the media and stuff. They came out of the gate, they scored, and they didn't set the record. But they kind of still own the modern day record.
Yeah.
Because that team that said it doesn't.
That's 20.
But they don't own the record, though.
Yeah.
They don't own the record.
The New York Rangers are currently behind the Flyers, 3-4-1. The Blue Jackets are 3-3. The Islanders are 3-3. Here's where it gets fun.
Schaefer looks unreal.
Yeah, he's got crazy amount of points. Lafreniere looks the opposite of unreal.
Yes.
I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. I'm done.
The Minnesota Wild are 3-3-1. The Dallas Stars are 3-3-0, 7th in their division.
Wow.
And in the
500
Pacific,
is 7th?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And in the Pacific, there is one team with a positive goal differential.
Ooh. Vegas.
Yeah.
The undefeated team.
Yeah, they have not lost in regulation. The Canucks are 2nd in that division. The Kraken are 3rd. The Ducks, playoff-bound Ducks, are 4th. But that means the Oilers, the Kings are down there with the Sharks and the Flames. Now, the Sharks and the Flames are bad.
Yo, what is it about Oiltober?
Yeah, they'll be fine, though.
Like,
I still don't believe it.
I know that they do this every year. It's still weird. It's still noteworthy. Why does it happen? Like, you can't tell me. You can say that it's not going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but why do they stink? Isn't it weird that some of the most elite players in the industry, the best player in the world, just got his first goal? That's not weird to you?
Well, the reason I brought all this up was that Pete DeBoer has put the feelers out. He will not wait for a great team to pick him up. He wants to get back into coaching now.
Maybe not something I would put out there publicly.
No, I think it's actually really smart because there is a lot of teams right now that were expecting good things that are not getting them. And you know what's picked up traction in Senators Twitter is Pete DeBoer a little bit this morning.
I don't love that. I don't love that.
He's a dude. He's a 3-year coach. But he's an undeniably great 3-year coach.
Right. But like, I have a hard time looking at what's going on in Ottawa and going, yeah, that's coaching. No, dude, you lost your identity. Like, you lost your heart and soul.
But you gotta be better than what they've been.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, these decisions, like, DeBoer is probably going to be an NHL head coach by December. So I guess it is a story. Yeah, you're right.
Curious about this. And in Philadelphia, Matvei Michkov continues to be under fire. And I'm curious about that because, again, early season skids are always really interesting because you go, wow, I really didn't expect that. That's what makes them a story. People are like, oh, that's not a story. Talk to me in 20 games. We're not at 20 games.
Yeah.
We're at 7 or 8, depending upon what team you watch. And what we have right now is an early season skid. And that's fascinating. Stop saying that real stories are not stories. They're fucking stories, dude. And Matvei Michkov is, to me, and I know I brought it up last episode, that is the X factor in Philly. He needs to be great. And so what do you do with a guy that supposedly is not in the best shape, is already in the coach's doghouse? What do you do here? Because in Philadelphia, you have to make this work. What do you do?
You put him on a bike until he barfs, probably. Like, the guy's not in shape. Like, what are you going to do? Play him into being in shape? What are you going to do?
Yep.
Like, I said this, and I was surprised how little pushback I got. He might get health bombed. He might get health bombed just to have him ride the shit out of that bike for a couple games. Well, listen, like, you're supposed to be the best player we have.
Mm-hmm.
If you're far from that, why are you in the lineup? Hit the bike.
Hit the bike.
So, Adam, I wanted to add this on about Michkov because I was reading Kevin Kurz in The Athletic, and he shed some light on how Michkov didn't arrive in shape for this season. So he said he was better on Monday against the Kraken, which was true. He helped on the second period goal, which is great. So things are slowly turning around. But here's some context on Michkov's start to the season. Michkov's start was concerning. He simply didn't arrive in camp in good enough shape, something that Tocchet has overtly suggested a few times. Tocchet said this: he's 20 years old. It's about, what am I eating? How is he recovering? Tocchet said on October 15th. When you have a young player, you almost have to tell them sometimes, you've got to recover here. What are you eating after games? Things like that. I think that will help him in the long run. We have to teach him certain things like that. The surprising part, this is Kurz again, the surprising part of it is that Michkov admitted in several Russian language interviews last season and over the summer that the grueling schedule wore him down. He should have known what to expect after going through his rookie season. It's impossible to know how much the ankle injury set him back, but on October 15th, Michkov said through an interpreter that it had absolutely nothing to do with his offensive struggles. If there's a silver lining here, is that when Michkov does get going, it will provide a huge boost to a team that desperately needs it. But there it is from like the coach and everybody around the team. He hasn't had the best adjustment to the NHL lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You know, it's this thing is like everybody around you is doing the important things of eating well, recovering, getting sleep, and that sort of stuff. And it just sounds like he hasn't been up to standard yet in his NHL career.
It's obviously, I mean, he's a really young guy. It's hard, but like his introduction to the NHL, I would say, is harder than most people's. You know, he doesn't know the language, doesn't know the continent. And like, I kind of have a unique perspective on this as a KHL player myself. No, like I covered the KHL for a while. Like, I had contacts in Russia and everything. Mm-hmm. And some of the guys, when they come here, whether it's for pro hockey or junior, the food is completely different.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that will come up with relative consistency is I put on 20 pounds. I don't know how I did it. I'm not like pigging out, or I'm not just, I put on 20 pounds. Like, I don't know if it's how the food is made or whatever.
Probably what's in the food. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The laws, at least in Europe, are much stricter than they are in North America.
And then there's just general immaturity.
Yeah, he's 20.
He's
Yeah.
20,
You know what I can remember? I can remember reading an article about Nazem Kadri turning it around, and one of the main cruxes of it is he stopped eating a bag of cookies after every game.
Jeez.
He's like, yeah, I just stopped eating cookies and, worked out a lot this summer. I was like, stopped eating cookies? Like, that's what it was.
Why
But
were you ever eating cookies?
he must have been eating a lot of fucking cookies too, because those guys need calories, right? So,
Adam, do you side with Steve here and that you're willing to give him a little leeway, or are you looking at this? If you own the Flyers or you're the GM, are you saying, this guy I'm putting on the first line of my team, I expect you to show up and know how to eat? Or is there like, we understand there's an adjustment period, we're not winning? Where do you side on this?
I think on my side of it is you should know already.
Yes.
He is also 20. And I have been 20 and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And ankle injury or no ankle injury, plenty of people come back from ankle injuries in shape. I'm sorry, like an ankle injury doesn't stop you from being in shape. Maybe you don't have the lungs, but you can get on a bike.
I think
you
you're
can do
more,
other things.
You're more likely to come back well from an injury like that if you're 28 versus 20. Purely from a maturity standpoint.
Yeah.
And some guys are special. They're special in the head.
Mm-hmm.
When I was that age, was not.
Well, was it Connor Bedard has never had a McDonald's burger? Like that's,
I get it.
that is a different human being.
I have.
am.
Look at me.
Yeah.
It's like I wrote my first book, and people like actually reached out to me after, and they're like, you good? Like, do you have like an alcohol problem? And I'm like, back in the day, yeah, I might have actually. And that was just how I lived. I don't live that way anymore. I physically couldn't friggin' do it. I wasn't mature. I wish I could go back to when I was like 14 and be like, if you have 2 salads a week, you'll be in the Olympics. Like,
Yeah,
with your metabolism.
Adam, you were on the ankle thing.
Sorry. We're talking about maturity here, and I'm applying
Steve's
it all
like, you
to
know what? I
myself.
should have eaten more than a salad once a week.
No, you know what you should do? On Pizza Wrap Day every Thursday at Moet, get 2 of them and just house them.
I think that sure, the food is different, whatever. You are surrounded by, in Philadelphia, that's a first-class organization. I don't have anything bad to say about the Flyers behind the scenes, and I don't think anybody does. Maybe Chuck Fletcher was a disaster as a GM, but in terms of resources available to you, good leaders on the team, there are veterans on this team who are in
Sean
good
Couturier
shape.
turning back the clock.
Yeah, Travis Konechny's there.
Yep.
Never heard anything about a Flyer being out of shape. So I think this comes down to maturity. And Jesse, I don't think my patience would be that big for this. In your rookie year, you're learning. And Kevin Kerr said it perfectly. I love his articles. He goes right to it because that's very Philly, right? I'm just gonna hit you with the truth.
Right.
And
what are you, nuts?
The truth is he should have known. And it's not he should have known, he did know.
Now,
He did know. He saw it. He didn't do it. Yes, there was an ankle injury. There are things you can do. Sorry, not good enough anymore. You're a sophomore. This is Philly. There is no Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, just give him some time. Nah, man, you're a fucking Flyer. There's none of this shit. And by the way, I wish we were a little more like that here in Toronto. I love that shit about Philly. I think that's a compliment.
What's the one, The Inquirer? Is that the one where it's kind of their son, except really more difficult on the players?
Yeah, they were like
they
intense,
go right at them.
Like that makes the Toronto Sun look like kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, that newspaper. Which is why I love Kevin Kerr's of The Athletic, because he gives it to you straight, but not cut your head off. He doesn't shiv people.
Like their articles on Embiid are like crazy.
They're crazy, Jesse. Basketball in Philadelphia is fucking nuts.
You want to see a writer go at somebody from a personal standpoint? Like, I hate you as a human being.
Didn't he threaten to fight a guy?
Yeah.
And we were like, man, that's crazy of him to do. And then you find out why, and you're like, that guy's lucky he didn't get his ass beat.
It's the Philadelphia Inquirer, I believe, is one of the biggest culprits of that.
And guess where Stephen A. Smith cut his teeth?
Philly?
Philadelphia Inquirer.
Oh, shit, really?
That
That's
actually-
newspaper. Wow.
And it's still, I believe, a columnist for them.
That explains so much about Stephen A. Smith. I will say, he's not the first player to have this happen.
No, of course not.
And he won't be the last. There was a story I heard years ago, I'll protect details, where this young player proved to have potential. They had a really good end to their NHL season. And it was like the first time they had looked that good. And their team wore out the knees of their pants, begging this player, please stay with us
Oh, I remember
this summer. Please stay with us this summer. Work out with us. We'll give you one-on-one everything. Please stay with us. And they go, don't worry about it. I'm going home and I'm going to work out on my own and it's going to be great. And the team says, fine, what choice do we have? And they go home and they come back 20 pounds overweight. Now, this player actually didn't start the next season very well. They were actually pretty shit. But they ended up turning it around and they have a great career and they're one of the highest paid players in the league, actually. But at the time, first of all, the team was hopping mad at this player. And second of all, I'm sure the conclusion they came to was, we are never letting another player do this ever, 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 ever again.
Mm-hmm. Well,
now he's not even with them.
Anyway.
And I have personal beef with Philly. I will forever. Cousin Chunis. You guys, yeah, we still got beef.
And Cameron,
what the fuck?
Calgary Flames look really bad.
Yeah.
But they at least have a win. The San Jose Sharks do not still. Jesse, Steve.
Yeah.
Who will have... San Jose has, weirdly enough, they're ahead of Calgary. I don't know how they work this out. Calgary has a regulation win, or they have a win. San Jose does not, but San Jose's 7th and Calgary's 8th, and I think it's because San Jose's played 6 and Calgary's played 7.
Oh.
Who ends up with the best odds at Gavin McKenna out of those two teams? Does Calgary... Remember, this is a 94, 96 point team last year?
I mean, it's the team that literally has not won. You know, so we've been banging the Sharks drum and we've been comparing them to the Blackhawks, and the Blackhawks rebuild is miserable. And I mean, the Blackhawks are watchable and the Sharks are not winning at all. That will get old fast. You have to win games, for God's sake, even if you end up finishing last or in the basement or whatever. They haven't won. Are we going to reach Halloween and they haven't won? Sharks Truther was born from, they got their ass kicked over a stretch. An early stretch, and then started winning games. And everyone was talking about them like, oh yeah, the Sharks. And I'm like, guys, over the last month, they've been actually very good. Oh, okay. That's where Sharks Truther came from. So you need to win. You need to string together some good games in order for me to stay on board with, oh yeah, things are going well in San Jose.
Jesse, what do you think?
They'll I don't I don't understand the expectation that they were going to win games.
You can finish last place and still win 20, 25 games.
Yeah, but if you look at their roster, it's disgusting.
It's not good.
It shouldn't win games, and that's what they've built. If they wanted to do better, they should have tried a little harder. Like, you're taking on Carey Price's contract in early September so that you can tear it down even more. You need to hit the floor, so you need a fake human on your roster just to do that. You need $10 million worth of it.
Yeah.
You had no expectation of winning this year. If you wanted to push things forward, that's on you for signing some humans who can play hockey and not just a bunch of children who are out there trying to learn with a bunch of vets who've been around the league and are over the hill. Like, I don't have sympathy for their start right now. They still haven't won a game since we watched them play when we were in San Jose. That's your fault.
March.
You gotta put some people on the ice who can win hockey games, or this is just what you are. You can't expect Celebrini and Smith to carry this thing and do it all on their own. Like, they just got here. They are children. That is what's fun about it in San Jose, is that they are children, but it doesn't mean they're going to win hockey games. So I'm like, this is what they are. Is the expectation they were going to win? Like, I'm shocked.
Be nice to win a couple.
I thought the vibes would be good.
I'm shocked you thought they'd win.
Again, like, the worst team in the league will win a little.
They'll win. Eventually. They're not going to go 0-82 or 0-80-2. You know, they're going to win eventually. They're not going to win right now.
When's their first one?
That'd be a good bet to make.
Yeah,
Right?
that is a good bet to make.
You know, call up BetMGM, see if we can get odds on which game will San Jose win. They have it for the New York Jets right now in the NFL. If you guys are following at all, they don't have a win, and you can bet what week they'll pick up their first win.
Is not an option?
If you bet like they'll pick up their first win week 18 against the Bills, I think their last game of the season, it's like 200 to 1 odds and stuff like that.
God.
That would be even funnier if you could do it for San Jose, and you could bet like in April they'll win. It's 1,000 to 1 or something.
Yeah, you know what's nuts? I saw a TikTok the other day, and it was some guy, you know, because New York's famous for their streeters, right? They got guys standing outside to get and this guy was outside of a Jets game after they lost last week, and this kid who's got to be 16, 17. Did you see this?
I've seen this video. It's so good.
My God.
It's so depressing. He goes up to him and he's like, what do you think of the New York Jets? And he's wearing a Jets jersey, and he's like, listen, I was born into a family of Jets fans. I didn't have a choice. I love this team, but I really fucking hate this group of guys. I was like, oh my
He's like, I'll be here forever. It's my religion, but like I hate it. I hate everything about it.
I understand why people who don't like sports look at people who like sports like they're ridiculous. Because when you win, it's euphoria. Like at Toronto with the Jays, holy shit. The warm and fuzzies and everything. But like, think about it. You drove there or took the whatever. You slogged it to the stadium.
Yeah.
You or your dad paid all that money. You spent your time. And you spent your time miserable. And then you went back. And that's how you spent your Sunday? Cheering for a bad team sucks ass. That's a tough life, man.
Yeah.
The New York Jets.
Right. When was the last time the Jets were good? Like, was it Chad Pennington era? Jesse?
Wow.
You're asking why'd you put the camera on me? I have no idea.
Like, that's what I was asking Jess. Do you remember? Like, when was the last time they had a winning?
No, they've been terrible forever. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
They own them and the Buffalo Sabres own the longest consecutive streak in American pro sports of not making the playoffs.
Oh my God.
They are tied. They're high-fiving the Sabres. So for context of you hockey fans, the playoff list streak of the Jets is matching the Sabres. They are the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
I cannot believe any New York team would be that bad.
Like
They're
in the
all
state of
bad.
New York. Yeah.
Damn.
Like they've all been bad for so long. The Knicks last year, like going on a little bit of a run, was something they haven't seen forever. The Giants have been bad since a long time, since like Eli Manning's championships. The Brooklyn Nets have been bad since they've been in Brooklyn. You go up and down the list. It's not great.
The Liberty won.
Liberty won. Yes. The Liberty won the championship.
Basketball
I'm pretty sure.
helps.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw Red Bull FC, like the New York team. I'm pretty sure I saw them post about how it's been a disappointing season or something.
Oh, yeah.
Today too. Like it's like, jeez.
You got the Rangers going to a couple conference finals, and then last year being the most miserable season in Rangers hockey in a long time. The Devils, they made the second round a couple years ago, but they had a long stretch. I guess New Jersey.
Cup final in 2012.
Don't claim them. New Jersey.
Yeah, but New Jersey's not New York, and they're the first to tell you that, right?
Exactly. My bad for bringing that up. New Jersey, you're separate. You can keep your Tony Sopranos over there.
Hey.
So yeah, not the same.
Have you seen that clip? Like these
And
guys,
Long Island is a different world because it's on an island, right?
Have you seen that clip where these guys, they just stop a random man in New York, or I think it was in New Jersey, whatever. They go, "Did you know the New Jersey pizza is better than New York pizza?" And he goes, "Fuck out of here! Fuck out of here!" It's one of my favorite clips on the internet.
That's fun.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It made me want to move there, honestly.
Oh man, they're just a wild group in New York.
Out of here!
Anyway, should we bring on Andi Petrillo? Yeah. All right, let's bring her on. Andi Petrillo joining the show. Joining us for the first time ever, which is kind of shocking, actually, when you consider.
I'm actually surprised.
It's embarrassing. Andi Petrillo. Now, Andi is on. I'm just going through your resume right now. Andi, CBC, Amazon Prime Monday Night Hockey, Thursday Coast to Coast on Amazon, and of course, One Soccer as well. Welcome to the show. We've watched you for years. Steve and you worked together years ago at Leafs TV.
When I was a baby and also bad at
This
my
is
job.
true.
So I appreciate you ushering me through that.
Andy, what did people say about Steve?
And now
behind
you
his back?
have babies.
I do. It's crazy.
What did people say behind Steve's back at Leafs TV, Andy?
Honestly, everyone thought he was the coolest thing.
No way.
To have,
No way.
yes, because the way he had already changed, like there was a different format of him doing media with him screaming into a lens. We probably thought he could tone it down a little bit, and we did think that he would go like he was going red in the face very quickly, and we thought this guy's not going to make it past 25 if he keeps going this way. But you clearly do some meditating maybe outside of it, which is awesome. But of course, my dogs will always start barking the second I have to go to air with anything.
That's fine.
But I have to say, and I think I've told Steve this before, like it was just pretty amazing how he took media and did this whole new way of doing it with the editing and the rants and the entertaining form, that style. So no, if anything, he was absolutely loved at Leafs TV. I'll tell you that.
All right.
Well, and that's great of Adam to bring up because this is what your new book is about: straight white men. Let's talk about the minority in hockey broadcasting.
The book is actually called "Just Call Me Andy: Sports Stories from a Trailblazer."
So Steve decided at the ripe age of 29 to write his memoir. You took a little longer into your life to write your memoir. Would you say it's good that you waited a little longer than your late 20s to write the whole story of your life?
So I'm going to tell you this, and Steve, please, this is not a shot at you, but this is really funny.
There's a shot
when
coming.
my literary, it's like no disrespect, but and then it goes. Don't take offense, but my literary agent, when he was trying to convince me to write this book, I'm like, why would people care about what I have to say or read anything about my life? And he turned around and he goes, the amount of men in this country who have written books that nobody asked them to write, but they just had, the confidence to write them. He's like, why can't women have that same confidence?
Yes.
And it made me laugh. But obviously the positive side of that was, why hasn't a woman who's a sportscaster in Canada, because we know they have in the States, but nobody in Canada has written a book yet, but a lot of men in this industry do. And great for the men, but he kind of just opened my eyes to why not you? And I got to that point where I went, why not me? But yes, valid that I also feel like at the age of 45, I now have something, of value to share. At least I hope so. From my experiences in the industry to pearls of wisdom. Like in my book, you'll find that it's not linear. They're like little kind of diary entries, I guess you could say, like just little essays in there. But a lot of the topics I came up with were based on whenever I would do speaking engagements, what would people ask me the most about? So that's why these were, because I could probably write a second book on certain things, but I tried to really narrow it down to what were people asking me the most about when I would do speaking engagements. So those were the questions I tried to answer. I shared experiences based on that. And then I tried to, include an anecdote of, how we can move forward or things like that, a little bit of a lesson near the end.
I'm curious about the first, because you've done a lot of different types of sports. You've been in the industry a long time and have done radio and television and digital and all this. And radio and television are so different. People don't realize. I'm curious about the first interview you did where you were legitimately starstruck and didn't know what to ask.
Oh, well, first of all, as an Italian woman, I'm never at a loss for words. But my very first big interview when I got my job with Leafs TV was Ty Domi's retirement.
Wow. And
I just thought, holy crap, this is Ty frickin' Domi. And I had to do a one-on-one interview with him. So I was a little bit like, I definitely was starstruck, but and nervous, but I got through it. I just couldn't believe that right out of the gate, I was getting to do this pretty big one-on-one interview with Ty Domi. So that was a big one. And then even a couple years into my career on the soccer side of things, I got to interview sideline Kaká when Real Madrid came here to play Toronto FC. And I remember I asked, and I put this in the book too, I'm like, so stupid. Because at the time, like it was a big deal to have 20,000 fans to watch a TFC game. Like that was a big crowd. So I'm like, look at this crowd. It's so huge. Have you ever seen anything so large?
No, I've been in front of 100,000. What are you talking about?
Every game.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, this is nice. He was great. Like his answer was great. Yeah, he totally humored me. He didn't look at me and go like, you know who I am, right? But I thought, oh my God, that was so dumb. But those were definitely some big ones. Haidomi being like my first where I kind of freaked out. And then, having the chance to interview Kaká, and then didn't interview him, but had a conversation with him, was Cristiano Ronaldo, where he basically turned down an interview with me because he was too busy. That's fine. We shared some words. So that was pretty cool.
Did his skin shimmer? It always feels like he shimmers. So he's got that perfect tan.
Like a halo happening.
He floated in. Yeah.
you know, one of the things, Andy, that I think we've talked about a little bit on the show is the way, and you kind of mentioned this before the interview, so I'm kind of giving that part of it away, but the way that women's sports are discussed. And I'm curious to hear about the way you think they're discussed versus the way they should be, because obviously for a long time, specifically, I'm just gonna go with hockey because it's a hockey podcast. The professional women's leagues were divided against each other, and that's so often in the media how women are treated. It's like, well, you've got one powerful, successful woman, another powerful, successful woman. How do we get them to hate each other and create a rivalry, right? And I'm curious about the way things have changed and what still needs to happen in that arena for things to get to a more equal playing ground.
Yeah. By the way, that also happens in the broadcasting world, which is something else I share, is that there's still this belief, at least when I first got into the industry, it's definitely changed. But when I first started, getting into this in like the early 2000s, there was still very much this feeling of there's only room for one woman on the broadcasting side. And if another woman got hired, it was like, ooh, Andi, are you scared? Scared of what? Oh, that she's going to take my job? Like, so they still love to kind of pit us against each other, which is very infuriating. But in the world of women's sports, I do think we speak about women's sports and men's sports differently. And I think it's actually to the detriment of women who are the athletes themselves have been doing incredible things, making headways, making sure that they're respected and they have this platform. Everything that they've achieved, they've done. Now it's our turn as the media to respect that. And I feel how we do that is by talking about them like they're athletes, not like they're women. Now, if a woman wants to come out and she really wants to talk about being a mom or family or whatever, that's cool. But at the end of the day, that shouldn't be our default and our go-to. Do we do that with men? Like if you're going to sit here and talk about, a male athlete and be like, well, I don't know if his baby kept him up all night last night. Maybe that's why he didn't have a good game. Are you insane? We don't do that. But for some reason, we will always have this gender and gender role tone to speaking about women. And I also find that when we talk about women, there's some coddling that goes on. And, a story that I even share in the book that really stood out because they were literally back to back was on the soccer side of things. Canada Soccer, the men were in a dispute with their federation. As we know, they go to the 2022 World Cup. They get knocked out in the group stage, and they were criticized for their play on the field. Standard, right? Bonzo Davies misses a penalty kick. John Herdman got his tactics wrong. We kept it sports. That months later, that summer 2023, the women go to the World Cup. Same thing as the men, in a dispute with their federation. We know all this, right? The women get knocked out in glorious fashion in the group stage, massive loss to Australia. And right away, it's, well, they're distracted. They're going through a dispute with their federation. They've got a lot on their mind. Excuse, coddle. So I went to air and I stuck to sports. Stick to sports, right? And that's what I did. I stuck to sports and I got lambasted by the fans. I literally said the exact same thing about the women that I had said about the men. Davies missed a PK, Sinclair misses a PK. But for some reason, I suddenly became anti-feminist. For some reason, I wasn't talking about the women in the right way. And that's when it really dawned on me that we have a problem with the way we speak about women's sports. And I've spoken to some of these athletes as well, and they don't like it. the women are like, stop treating us like we're children or that we're so sensitive. Like, that's the thing. It's not the athletes who want it, right? But we just over years and decades have just developed this way of speaking about women's sports. And I can understand it because in the beginning, they didn't get much. They didn't get anything. So we had to be really supportive and we had to be really careful because the last thing the women needed as they were trying to fight for their space in the sports world, especially in hockey. We know the history there. You had the Canadian League, you had the American League, then you had some sort of merging, then you have a folding, then you finally have the P-dub. Like the last thing they need is us coming down and saying, you're crap, or you had this, or whatever, just be negative. And I get all that. But they've just come so far that to me, how we move forward with women's sports, how we show respect is by talking about them the exact same way we talk about the men. And stop treating them like they can't handle it. These are world and Olympic champions. They got this. They're good.
Yeah, the P-dub is such a great example because last year in the playoffs, Toronto goes out in elimination game to Minnesota. And after that, you know, if that's the Leafs who go in an elimination game, you talk about all the mistakes they make in that game and that sort of thing. But I found a lot of the narrative coming out was that of that season was just like, they did such a great job playing in this season and what a fantastic season they had. But let's also talk about the play and just treat these athletes like athletes and talk about how they didn't score enough goals in that game. There wasn't enough offense. And people are sometimes afraid to have the conversation about the actual game that happened and just want to hype up the sport as a whole.
They're not beyond reproach.
Right.
Right? Like, you lose. You lose sometimes, and a lot of the time that's your fault.
Right? Yeah. Oh, listen, I saw Renata Fast after that. We had to do an event together. And it was kind of funny because I went up to her and I'm like, why did you suck again? And she just started laughing. She's like, but she was like, yeah. And to your point, she broke it down. She's like, we did this wrong. We did that wrong. We did that. Like they have these conversations. They know how to have it. That's why I kind of do a little bit of finger pointing to the media, like myself and my fellow media members. Like it's us right now who are talking about them in a certain way. And the fan base has been trained to hear about women's sports. So sometimes they can also be like, again, when I had my criticism of the women at the FIFA World Cup, like they attack me, but I'm like, we need to detrain you because we need to stop making excuses or calling the women because these athletes themselves, like Renata Fast was pissed when I brought up, she wanted to talk about it. She had stuff to get off her chest. Like so she's not looking to be coddled. She knows what they did wrong. She knows what they need to change moving into the next season. So just start treating them like athletes.
Do you ever second guess or take a moment? Because obviously you're in a leadership role here in terms of, you know, trying to change the way women's sports are talked about and sports are talked about. Do you ever second guess and worry about the label of being difficult behind the scenes? Because it's not a difficult label to get, and it's a really hard one to wash off.
Oh God, I was a pushover in the beginning of my career because you're right. You don't want to say anything, ruffle feathers, speak up, nothing. Now I feel like I've earned it. Not that I try to be difficult in any way or take advantage of that, right? Because of the seniority that I've built up over the years. I think it's funny you should bring that up because I don't know if people in the industry, like the men anymore, would find me difficult because how do you label someone that who has over 20 years of experience in the industry? And I know majority of these people. But where some people might still find me a little difficult is that the way I promote women in the industry and the way I promote women's sports is done in a way, again, that isn't like, I don't think women should just be handed things. I don't think a woman should always get that job. And I think sometimes to the activist, they might be a little upset where it's like, well, the woman should get this, or it should be an all-female panel for this, or I don't always agree with that because that's not my idea of how women progress. So sometimes I can butt heads actually with other women in the industry on how we feel women should move forward. Having said that, we're all friends, we're all friendly. We just have like a different viewpoint on that because I just don't think everything should be handed to women. On the flip side of that, I also think women are still unfairly dismissed strictly because they're women and they're not acknowledged for certain jobs or anything that's available in the sports world. And I don't think that's right either. I'm just about balance, and I don't lean one way too much. And sometimes that can bother people who just really want you to pick up the torch for them. And I said, nah, I'm in the middle. I am in the middle. And I feel like if we can, that doesn't mean you don't push sometimes a little bit here and there, but we have to find balance, or else how else are you going to be taken seriously, right? But you're right. In the beginning, Steve, I did not say a word.
Andi, one of the things that you're a part of is, for the longest time in this country, we had three major sports broadcasters. We had TSN, Sportsnet, and The Score. And obviously The Score is now an app and it's not a television channel anymore. And that happened a while ago. But we do sometimes get, twice a week, and you're on the broadcast, Amazon. And, we were lucky enough to get a kind of a backstage tour of everything that's going on there. There are some game-changing ways that they're looking at replays and how they're miking things and those types of things. What's it like to be a part of a broadcast that, from what we understand, is pushing boundaries in a way that this country really hasn't pushed a lot of boundaries in terms of how we view sports in a long, long time?
It's about time. We are obviously a smaller country, as much as we like to compare ourselves to the States in many ways in the broadcasting world. That is just so unfair because it truly is apples and oranges, which is why you just said we have a duopoly in this country. That goes without saying. And I think that duopoly has to bend a bit because the viewership and how they consume their content is changing. That's just fact. And that's why we're opening up this door to streaming. Streamers didn't come busting in. We, the viewer, opened the door for them. So now how do we finesse it and how do we mold it to our viewing habits and what we need and what we want as Canadians watching our sports? And it's pretty incredible to be a part of something that is just different than a typical network. But I'm kind of used to seeing how things are done differently because we just spoke about, like, coming through Leafs TV. That was a specialty channel. It was still linear, but it was a specialty channel that you had to subscribe to. And we used to do a ton of experimenting. Like Leafs TV, they're the ones who started to do Leafs in 30. And then we started to do Leafs in 6. Literally shrinking down games to 6 minutes. We were the ones experimenting with that. Even on Amazon, we have home ice access, which is just the inside of the arena. You're watching people get their popcorn and everything. You feel like you're there. We did a version of that at Leafs TV for years. It's the same producer, Mark Askin, who was the producer over at Leafs TV.
Who we love, by the way. We love him.
Yeah, brilliant.
So Mark Askin's the producer of Monday Night Hockey. And, so it doesn't surprise me that, streaming is doing a lot of things that I was already exposed to pretty early on, having worked for a digital specialty channel. But this is kind of where it's going. People, they want to watch differently. They want things to be crisper, sharper in a world of technology being where it is. There's the expectation of things being better like that. People love that we're on location. That's a big thing too. I mean, even though a studio is comfy, cozy, bells and whistles, people love to know that you're in the action. Like, there's a lot that Amazon's doing that's a little bit old school, but with this advanced technology twist. And the fans have been responding to it. So if they respond, you just got to keep giving the people what they want.
Which is cool. Imagine that, giving the people what they want.
Just imagine.
Now, Andi, before we go, I got to ask you about the Felix Potvin picture in the background. I don't know if you know this, Steve is an enormous Potvin fan. I'm assuming you are too. Can we talk about your, I guess, is Felix the first guy you fell in love with in Toronto sports?
Oh, 100%. He was the first, because it was it was these pivotal years. I was about 12, 13 years old, and formative years when the Leafs obviously went on that run. And he was the guy, and I literally talk about him in my book, of the guy that got me obsessed with stats, because then I wanted to look up how he was doing and how the Leafs were doing and how he was performing. And then suddenly I started to become a little bit more obsessed with, I would never say analytics because I am not even good at that stuff. I still don't know what Corsi and expected goals for and how you even multiply and divide and times that. Anyways, but I got a little involved in numbers because of Felix Potvin. And I tried to use his name as my confirmation name when I was getting confirmed into the Catholic Church.
No way.
So we had to choose a name, and I wanted to be Felix. So there are saints who are named Felix, but there are multiple ones. So when the priest asked for clarification on which Felix, Saint Felix I was referring to, I said, oh, no. Felix Potvin, the goalie with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I thought right then and there, he was going to summon God to strike me down with lightning. And he goes, oh, no. And I feel like that was like a bit of a turning point. I think it was my age group. We started to really use like ridiculous. I think one person tried to get confirmed as like Axl Rose and stuff. And then the church started to really kind of put a stop to that. But I tried to get confirmed as, Andrea Felix, Petrillo, and that did not work out. So instead I went with Joan of Arc, a woman burned at the stake. So there you go.
There you go.
That makes sense.
Incredible. A guy at my school was Elmo, because there is a Saint Elmo.
Elmo, yeah.
There's a Saint Elmo, so he was Elmo.
See, if I had said Saint Felix of the if I'd done my homework
of the Assumption,
I would have had Felix,
too honest.
But I was too honest. I folded.
Andy, the book is called Just Call Me Andy, Sports Stories from a Trailblazer. Andy Petrillo, thanks so much for being on the show. We hope that this is not the last time. I'm embarrassed it took this long for it to be the first time.
Call me anytime.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.